Hello, welcome to my forum, and this is Deck Tech, where I run through one of my commander decks and teach you how to play it. On today's docket, we have Chatterfang Squirrel General, which is basically an overwhelming amount of squirrels. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on in. Alright, so the primary theme behind the deck is to create as many squirrels as possible, which you can either use to either board wipe your opponents or to overwhelm them. The reason why Chatterfang is the commander for this deck is for two reasons. One, every single time you create a token, you also create a squirrel. If you have doubling season out, you also create double squirrels, but we'll talk more about that in the combos. There's also the second bit of Chatterfang that states that if you use one mono black mana, you can use your squirrels as sacrificial lambs to basically remove your opponent's creatures. With that being said, let's go ahead and kind of get into some of the combos. Collectively, this deck is not particularly combo heavy, and what I mean by that is this deck kind of revolves around board state and individual enchantments or creatures that kind of help facilitate making more tokens. There's not a whole lot of like major infinite combos. However, there is 1.5 infinite combos just because I like to have them in all my decks. What the combo is the first important card is Ivy Lane Denizen, which basically states that whenever you cast a green creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. And you have two cards you can pick from, either Scurry Oak or Herd Baloth, which essentially do the same thing, where if you put a +1/+1 counter on it, it creates a green creature token, whether that be a beast or a squirrel. It's also worth noting that if you go the squirrel route, you also create double infinite squirrels with Chatterfang. If you go the beast route, you create infinite beasts with also infinite squirrels. And with the infinite squirrels, you can board wipe everyone, and then you can just kind of hit everyone as long as you have something to either give them haste or you can wait till the next turn, whichever suits you. Moving into some of the notable cards, there are some cards that are just game enders and then some that just kind of put your board into this exponential state where it just keeps going faster and faster. So here are some of those cards. First off, Scute Swarm, which follows exponentials for insects and also squirrels. Old Gnawbone, which basically creates a metric ton of treasure tokens, which in turn also creates a ton of squirrels. A collection of tutors, so I can kind of grab whatever I want. Those are just nice to have on hand. Blood Artist, if you use Chatterfang's second ability, whenever you start board wiping your opponents, that turns into a source of life gain and life loss for your opponents. Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, that turns all your opponent's lands into forests in addition to their other types. That's really handy because Chatterfang does have Forest Walk, and if you slap Classification on Chatterfang, that basically means that you can win by commander damage as opposed to traditional combat. And last but not least, we have Craterhoof Behemoth, which gives all your creatures +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. They also all have trample. So let's say that you have 50 squirrels out. That means all your squirrels are 50/50s and they all have trample. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel just because that is the best possible way to help me. Without any further ado, thank you so much for watching, and we'll learn something new in the next video.